Can you hear me now? Something? No? Yes? Grace, try lip reading 101. That's going to be our next class. All right, someone is saying you're hearing me. All right, the question then becomes, golly, now I've got sound coming from everywhere, from every device I own. I got to figure out what's working and what isn't. I really do test this over and over and over. And then what I think should be working isn't working. Okay. Audio here. Is this the audio? Are y'all hearing me now? I'm funny. Well, I got to be something because I'm not working. 5x5. Is it this microphone? Am I big and deep? Or is it coming? Yes. Okay. It's this one, Asila's saying. So hopefully, wow. Sorry for the complications. This is what happens when you have to use like 4 devices to make things working. And then this thing's making its own noise. Wow. Okay, we're going to sit 5x5. Applause. Wow, so sorry, folks. Thanks for your patience. We are, and no crackling. Well, that's what I was working on, practicing the fruit of the Spirit. Yeah, humility isn't in that list in Galatians, but I'm humble now. Yeah, thanks, Rob. You're doing sound engineering doesn't fix my problem. Here's the deal. Stasa and I have visited a handful of vineyards over the years, and one of the things that always awed me is that all that went into the vineyards getting both the health and the uniqueness from the fruit. In other words, the unique terroir of the weather, the location, the soil differences, the vine differences, the way the hill, faced weather, got sun, didn't get sun, all of the things that the vineyard did, the vine keeper did, in order, or the vintner, as we would say today, all that they had to do to get both the most health and the uniqueness of the terroir, the grape, the circumstances, the weather, the timing, the varietal, all of that, the age of the vine, what the vintner, the person who tended the vines, did to maximize what he saw as the unique wonderfulness of the fruit. It's not just you plant it and it survives or it doesn't, or you plant it and it's healthy or it doesn't, or it's a good spot or it's a bad spot. Oh, well, it was so complicated. But listen, not for the fruit. So whenever anyone asks a question about fruit, I always have to think, well, what's the role of the vine keeper? What's the role of the vine and the terroir, right? The circumstances that it's drawing life from. And what's the job of the fruit? What's the job of the branch on the vine from a biblical standpoint? And the reality is, we are not causing our own health. We are not causing our own fruitfulness as the branch. God is working on something in our life. And when we confuse the purpose and source of the fruit as speaking about us, we're missing the point. So Susan has a question today that I'm eager to talk about. And that's where we are headed next. We're talking about divine fruitfulness today. So I'm really glad you're here. Let's run the intro and see if we can get things working. So glad that you guys are here. Thanks for your patience this morning as we figure out our audio setup these days. Awakening souls to our life in Christ. My name is Mike Q. Daniel, and we are celebrating all that we have in Christ Jesus by grace. Be sure to share your questions or prayer requests at MikeQDaniel.com. And I want to welcome you to Mike Q. Daniel Live with the Grace Tribe. Good morning, Grace Tribe. I am glad that you guys are with us. We're talking about, Rob's going to trim our message for us before he posts the podcast. That's good. If you don't have the visual or the audio, it's going to be really dramatic in the worst way. Thank you, Rob. All right, here's the deal. Susan asked this question. I wrote it down for us. Assuming you can still hear me. Good morning, Amy. Hello. I see you saying hi. Thank you, Rob. Sheila. Wonderful. Here's Susan's question. I love this. And really, maybe it was more of a statement. Rob sent it to me as a question, which I really love. I heard it taught that lifestyle is evidence of salvation. No fruit of the Spirit visible means no salvation. It was very damaging teaching, and it becomes all about behavior management. Behavior management. Isn't that interesting? So is fruitfulness a determiner of salvation? The answer to that question is absolutely not. Yeah, Terry says, oh, yikes. Yeah, your fruitfulness is all about what God is wanting to do that you do not get to determine. The argument is if there's no fruit, then you must not be in Christ. Well, I would say there's a lot of plastic fruit in the world, so looking fruitful doesn't prove anything. And judging what's truly divine fruit in any given moment is almost impossible. Does that make sense? We can misjudge fruit. So judging fruit can't be a sign of someone's salvation. If I were to ask you today, what does divine love look like and feel like? You could give me a list. You could say, I know what it's like to be loved. I've had revelation of love. I know how that feels. And if you were to list out that experience, then I could take notes and then try to make you feel that way. I could ask you what patience looks like. And whenever anyone is looking, I could try to look like you're describing. If I were to ask you what joy looks like, then I could then turn around from your description and try to look and act like I have joy, thinking that if I am being successful in my joyfulness, in my love, in my patience, in good acts, in kindness, acting gentle, those things may not be coming from who I am in the Spirit. They can be fake, manipulative. So the question is not, does that person look fruitful? The question is that person living from what he can produce for what he can gain, which is impossible to judge sometimes? Or are they living from Christ as the source and out of the overflow of the fecundity, right? The fruitfulness, the abounding resource of divine life, of Christ's grace? Is that person giving fruit away? So fruit looks fruitful even if it's plastic. I just don't encourage you to eat it. Good-looking fruit. And June's asking the pertinent question, is it a sign the Holy Spirit is unhindered in our lives? Yeah, it might be to the person that's experiencing it, but no one else can judge it. No one knows divinely produced joy until they are feeling joy. That's not how they look. That's not how they act. That's something that the Spirit is producing within them. No one knows what true divine love really is an experience until God produces it. In other words, trying to be fruitful is always a mistake. Judging someone else by how the fruit looks from the outside is never conclusive. So, when I go to the grocery store, I like to buy organic fruit. I've read research that says when the insects are attacking fruit, they develop more of the inhibitions to those insects than they do otherwise. And it is that development that produces the nutrients. It's that defensiveness against the elements, against insects, against circumstances that they're in. It's that striving, like the butterfly breaking through the cocoon so it can fly. If it doesn't break through the cocoon, if you break through the cocoon, the butterfly can't fly. It's that same resistance developed from the environment that causes it to be healthy. That's true of fruit, that the resistance against insects and environment and circumstances that makes it not look very good, right? It has little bite marks in the skin of the fruit. It has maybe been a little battered by the elements, so it's not perfectly shaped. And we get this not as pretty, not as long lasting, but completely organic piece of fruit. And it's actually better for you because the nutrients it developed in defense against its circumstances. So when you see someone that's a little battered and bruised in life, they may not look like spiritual dynamo, but they have been through it. And going through it causes them to be dependent in it. And sometimes the least mature looking person has a profound gentleness. The least sophisticated Christian has the most profound wisdom. The least sacrificial looking person, right, might have the most love in their heart because they have been through it and learned dependence in it. They can have the greatest potential of fruitfulness for others from it. Well, that doesn't always look like pretty fruit. If you go and look at the, not organic fruit, inorganic fruit in the supermarket, it almost always looks better. It's larger, it's smoother, it's healthier looking. See, that's a real problem. Because in fact, having covered it with pesticides, having fed it steroids, having, spray painted it red, and they don't spray paint it red, but they, polished it up all pretty and selling it cheaper because you get more fruit with pesticides than you do letting the bugs at it, then it's less healthy and better looking. I want you to think about that. It's less healthy and better looking. Let's not get onto the political things. I mean, I'm using it as an analogy, all right? Are we wanting a better looking Christian life as the demonstration of our health? Or do we want Christ's sufficiency to overflow however he desires in our life? So to Susan's question, yes. I mean, if I love you sacrificially, I might be manipulating you. I might be wanting greater. It's what we do with God, right? I'm being sacrificial with God so that he'll reward me. If we're teaching tithing, then I'm giving to God so that I can gain from him. I'm tithing and he's going to bless me for my tithe. Doesn't work that way, folks. You're not under the old covenant. You're not under the law. You're not in a transactional relationship with God. Your obedience doesn't earn God's grace, or it wouldn't be grace. Your sacrificial finances don't earn financial abundance, or it wouldn't be God-given. It wouldn't be grace-based. We're not in a transactional relationship with God. If it's not by grace, it's not of God. And if it is of God, then it is by grace. If it looks good on him, folks, it looks good on you. You are compatible with Christ by grace alone. I have been more blessed by people that had nothing to offer, but they had a deep, abiding solace, calmness, okayness with the Father. And I can't judge all of the circumstances that brought them to the place that they were in their life. But what I gained from them when they had nothing to offer in this world, didn't look good, didn't have anything, but their heart was so obvious, and God's calmness, his sufficiency spoke to my soul from their soul. So their dependence upon his spirit radiated from their soul at a soul on soul, life on life, breath on breath level, and to sit with them ministered to my heart, ministered of his sufficiency, because they had nothing to gain and nothing to lose. They were not trying to look good. They did not look good. They didn't smell good. And they had this deep, abiding solace, calmness that shook me because it resonated in conflict, if you will. It was in discord with my striving at a time when I, in corporate training, corporate consulting, was making more money than I am making now, decades later, which tells you something. It was more money then than it is now, and it was a long time ago. And so when I had no reason to feel like I was lacking anything, I thought, I don't have what this person has. And they were not trying to express anything to me. They just weren't trying to get anything from me. So all of that to say, inorganic, fake, unhealthy fruit often looks better, but I wouldn't eat it. Don't go eating fake fruit. And if someone is telling you that who you are is based on how good your fruit looks, then you're going to spend all of your fleshy, carnal energy trying to produce, cause, look fruitfully. And that just is never going to work. It's just you're going to just be exhausted. The soul of man and the spirit of man are two different but inseparable, right? They're distinguishable but separable things. Inseparable. Who I am in soul and spirit is one being, not two beings. But my mind can live from the truth of who I am in the spirit and God's sufficiency in my life, or my mind can be focused on the flesh and my inadequacies for the circumstances I'm in, and I can be overwhelmed by what I need, and I can employ my fleshly resources in order to get those needs met from others, from the circumstances. That's not fruitfulness. My being able to put together a great little message with 3 cool little bullet points and a wonderful, application statement at the end of the day that brings tears to people's eyes, that is not divine fruitfulness. That's just really good skills that can be just as born of fleshiness in my meeting my own needs as they can be of divine fruit. The question is, am I walking in the fullness of the message I'm teaching? Not consistently, not all the time, but is it real to me? Or am I selling something to you? To get affirmation, to get security, to get some kind of significance, need met. by what I'm doing. It's hard to judge that in a moment. You could potentially judge some of that over the course of a lifetime. But what it means is we're not fruit inspectors. We're not at the county fair judging people's fruit. So, yes, of course, if I have an abiding trust of God and He has used circumstances, regardless of what those circumstances look like, to bring about a dependence that produces an otherworldliness in my love and joy and peace and patience, according to Galatians 5:23 talks about this incredible divine fruit. We know what it is, but we're not meant to be judging what it looks like as evidence of Christ's presence. My fruit experience in my own soul, drawing life from the Spirit or trying to draw life from the circumstances, is a lot like a piece of fruit trying to live more successfully free of the insects and trying to live more successfully free of the elements, instead of putting the roots of the vine drawing life from the soil and exuding that through my fruitfulness. What am I living from? Is my soul drawing life from the spiritual, internal, eternal reality of Christ in me? Or am I trying to draw life from the temporal, external, fleeting, circumstantial world around me? I don't want to look good. I want to be good. I don't want to look righteous. I want to be righteous. I don't want to look holy by my behavior. I want to be holy from the inside out, from the very presence of Christ. And then if I look holy, then when you talk about it to me, I'll go, that's just God's grace. I say it all the time. People go, that was so life-changing. That message changed everything for me. And I go, grace upon grace. Me too. As it was coming out of my mouth, I thought, that's so good. I need to spend some time with God about the very thing He's sharing with me to share with you, because I have nothing to gain from it except what He's sharing through me. Like, that's the best. And so you're enjoying it and I'm enjoying it and we're both enjoying it together. And I just think grace upon grace, because He's giving it to you. He's giving it to you and I get to enjoy it. God is loving you and I get to enjoy that love for you. God is expressing peace toward you if I'm dependent upon Him, and I get to enjoy that peace that He's expressing, calming your soul, giving you hope. I get to enjoy what He's giving you as He uses me to do it. That's what fruitfulness looks like. Who can judge that except the person that is going through it? That's divine fruitfulness. So, I can describe divine love and joy and peace and patience and goodness and kindness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control. I can describe those, and you can try to act that way. But there's no fruit, there's no vine, there's no truth, there's no spiritual indwelling necessary for me to either describe it or for you to act like it. I got to put down my coffee. I'm slinging it on myself here. I've said I can bathe in coffee, but I didn't mean I was going to do it. So yes, I can judge. I can look at my life and say, I've experienced the unique, healthy fruitfulness that is Christ in me and me in Christ. In fact, that divine love for other people that just broke my heart, and I would gladly fall off the cliff so that they wouldn't, that's of God. That's not all that there is of God, but I know where that came from was not me apart from Him. It was Him in me. I know it. When I have felt that, when I've experienced, it's not a feeling, it's an experience. When Jesus had guttural, stomach-churning compassion for other people, that was born out of the sufficiency of His relationship with the Father. He's trying to get away from the crowd to mourn the loss of John the Baptist. He's struggling with his earthly circumstances, and he hurts for the inadequacy and shallowness and immaturity of the disciples. When he's praying that God would take this cup from him, and he wouldn't have to endure the cross if he could accomplish God's will, their plan for the redemption of humanity any other way but the cross, give that to me. He's sweating drops of blood out of stress about the experience of being separated from God that he never chose. He never chose to be separated, and he's going to experience that separation. And that is a kind of spiritual death that he is dying, not just a physical death, but a spiritual death that he's going to endure for something he never chose to do. And he is going to endure that for the very disciples that he's asking to be, out of their friendship to him, to come alongside him and pray, and they're sleeping. And he doesn't get upset with them because he's lacking. He gets upset with them because they're about to be run over by the world. Oh, Peter, can't you just hang on for an hour? Your time's about up, dude. This is for you. I'm out there doing the work with God relationally. For me, I'm not wanting you to try harder. I'm thinking you're missing what's happening. This is for you. All of that compassion is born of the sufficiency and the overflowing swell of relationship with God. God does not want more from you. He wants more for you. God is fine. I want you to think about God for a moment. The vine dresser. He is not going, how can I get what I need today? Maybe Mike will finally pay attention. If I could just get Mike's attention today. God is not sweating your day. God is not sweating your finances. He's not withholding anything until you get something right. Oh, if you would just give me your 10%, I would triple it in a month. He is not a pyramid scheme. We're not giving to get. We're giving from what we've got. We're not giving so that we can afford more. We're giving from what Christ can afford. Christ in us can afford. I used to hate what I'm about to tell you I now love. I love that some of y'all partner with this ministry because I keep telling you not to unless you want to. Think about the implications of that. I keep saying we need people to partner with us, but please, don't think that you can pay us for what we're doing. We are giving something away. You just have to receive. And if you want to help us give it away to somebody else, please do. I need that. We cannot survive in this ministry without partners. And the more partnering we have, the more people we reach. There's a direct correlation in how we go about reaching more people with the truth of our life in Christ. Both my availability and our outreach to other people is a direct byproduct of the partners that we have. And so the more partnering we have, I promise you, the more people that we reach, because my income's capped. I never quite get to that cap, but my income's capped. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, when I say, look, you can never buy what we do. We're just giving it away. All you can do is help us give it away to somebody else. But whether you do that or not, you get what you get. You're not getting any more of anything that I do by your contributions. You don't get anything from me for contributing to this ministry. And everything that I do, you get anyway, even if you don't ever partner. So think about this. That means that those of you who partner with this ministry, I didn't plan to talk about this. Everybody it's easy to take wrong when someone starts talking about money. I just think it's so guarded and we hear it so wrong so often. Here's what fruitfulness looks like. It looks like me telling you that you should not give to this ministry. You should not partner with me unless you just really want to. Because if you want to, that's of God. And you get nothing from it except the incredible satisfaction of helping give away something that's transformative to somebody else. You have nothing to gain from me. because everything I do, you get anyway. It's all yours free. So you can never buy, you can never pay for what you receive from this ministry. It's just never going to happen. But you can help give it away to other people who are going to have to receive it as God's grace, because they're going to have to receive it for free. That's the best way I know to do what we're doing. And because you can get nothing from what we do, you can only help others receive it for free. They have to receive it for free, and you can pay for them to receive it. That's the only way. Because of that, because I keep telling people, do not give to this ministry unless you want to. And if you want to, do it. It'll be joy to you. It's certainly joy to me that I get to do this with Asila and Rob and Donna and people. I'm reading people's names in the comments. Because I get to do that with you, that means we get to do something together and enjoy what God does through us together that I can't do without you and you can't do without me. And we both are doing it dependent upon him and our unique expressions into the ministry. I say all that to say this. I know that the people partnering with this ministry are doing it out of the overflow of God's heart, because I keep telling y'all not to, unless you just really want to. And if you want to, we have a way for you to do that. Come by the website, the same place that you share prayer requests and join the newsletter. That's free. And everything else, come receive more. And you can, if you want to, if it is joy to you, you get to partner. But I promise you, you are not going to get anything more from me because you donate, because you partner with the ministry, because I'm not selling anything. You just got to want to give, or don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't partner unless you want to, because it's not for you. That's what that challenges our trust of God and forces us to not live transactionally in our mindset with him. It's a relationship. It's relational, not transactional. So that's what love looks like. That's what compassion looks like. That's what real patience looks like. It's not you trying to be patient. It's you caring more about the people around you than what they're costing you. Patience is not being willing to act okay. I struggle with patience. It's not being willing to act like you're okay. It's actually being okay, right? It's not enduring what would make you impatient. It's not having to endure. Who doesn't? I think here's the deal. Where you are lacking in fruitfulness in your life, like I talk about patience, I talk about traffic a lot because I think drivers most of the time are morons. They're not, though, right? They're just focused somewhere else, and their unintentionality in their driving makes me judge them for their driving. Are they not believers because they drive recklessly and makes you? I don't mind people driving fast. I mind driving in the wrong lane, that kind of thing. So I'm not talking about their ability to drive. I'm talking about their awareness of their driving. And so I often say they're morons. I really do. Those morons. And instead, what's the truth? That they just care less about their driving in that moment than I do. They're focused on something else. They're thinking about something else. I'm judging them for how they're driving when I'm not sure, with a couple of exceptions, I've ever seen them run into another car or really be in my way or really cause a problem. They're just in their negligence, not prioritizing what I think they should prioritize. So what I'm saying by condemning other drivers is how great I am, because it's comparative. But what we say when we're actually patient with people, when we actually love other people, is not, oh, I really love them. I want to be patient with you. We're not thinking about us. We're all about them. The divine fruitfulness of Christ in you is not about you. It doesn't speak of you. It speaks of God's heart for someone else. That's the problem with Susan's, what she's describing from sort of false religiosity, that, our lifestyle is the fruit. It's the evidence of salvation. If there's no spiritual fruit visible, it means there's no salvation. The problem with that is God's fruit in my life does not speak of me. It speaks of him. Let me say that again. God's fruitfulness in my life does not speak of how good Mike is, how saved Mike is. It speaks of how great God is. And no one can really even be aware how authentic or inauthentic it is but me. The question is not, does the fruit of someone's life look like they're saved? Do you see how that's the wrong question on 10 different levels? But what is God doing in me in that moment? Because I see I'm not patient with the car in front of me. I see that I'm wanting something from people that I'm giving something to. I see that I'm wanting to earn blessings from God by my obedience. Listen, then my obedience isn't born of the fruit of our love relationship together. Our obedience is born of the fleshly effort and self-deserving merit of Mike. Good luck with that. The question is not, does the fruit look like I'm saved, but what is God doing in me in this moment? When people see fruit in us, we're often completely unaware of it. So when I see Susan Johnson saying, me too, Mike, I get irritated with me. When that happens, we don't fix the fruit. We focus on Christ. Stop judging yourself by your own lack of fruit. Let that fleshly, emotional challenge drive you to focus on Christ. This works great for me. So even though I talk a lot about traffic or finances or whatever, it's because those are great examples that you can relate to with me. The reality is, when I am feeling impatient with other drivers, God reminds me to stop thinking about other drivers. And really what we're thinking is selfishly. We're thinking about ourselves. That's God going, you know that's not my fruitfulness through you. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the life, not the driver. I'm the life, not the weather. I'm the life, not the finances. I'm the life, not the microphone. I mean, if I had any sense, I would stop doing this because I can't get the microphone set up working every morning. But I'm not gonna. and not because of maybe what a lot of people would assume. Oh, because you have this huge following, Mike, and it benefits you. Actually, no, it costs me. And I can't help but do it. If I'm going to be available to God, I'm going to show up to do the broadcast. As long as he has me doing this, and as long as, it's not up to me to cause, it's up to me whether or not I'll receive what he's doing in the moment. So I'm not judging myself by whether or not the broadcast happens either. It's just whatever it is not our problem. God is saying, look at me. When the fire gets larger, it draws our attention away from the source of our life. If I'm trying to live from traffic, that seems like a mistake, right? I mean, anyone but me. If I'm losing patience because of traffic, then I'm living from the wrong source of patience. If I'm trying to get peace from the weather when the power goes out, if I'm trying to live from how well others affirm me, then I'm going to try to produce a lot of plastic fruit that looks good so that I can get affirmation or do a really good job in the flesh so that I can get security from my finances or whatever. But security doesn't really come from my finances because the more you have to lose. Peace does not come from circumstances being easier because they become more fragile. You ever notice that the most expensive things that you have in your life are the most fragile things? That's why the people that are closest to us are the ones with whom we're the most vulnerable. The more valuable something is to us, the greater the risk, the greater the vulnerability, the greater the cost, the greater the fragility of those things in our life. greater value does not make you less vulnerable. It makes you more vulnerable. So the relationships that are most important to me are the ones that can hurt me the most. The dishes in our cabinet that are the most valuable are the ones that chip the easiest. The jobs that I do that have the greatest potential gain for me or for anyone else are the ones that have the greatest risk. The things that are of greatest value are the things that have the greatest risk. More money does not give you security because more money gives you greater risk. Closer relationships don't give you more affirmation. They give you more insecurity if you're living from those relationships. We live in the flesh a very codependent kind of lifestyle that I am overly dependent upon everything, and it makes everything risky and me insecure. When in reality, God is not saying manage your patience and manage your peace and manage your taxes and manage your relationships better so that you can get what you need from them. God is not empowering you to be a better small g God of your circumstances. You are not gaining control as a reward of your obedience. God is never going to make you more sovereign in all of your crisis and all of life's demands when the weather and the pests are nipping away at the health of your soul. Then like organic fruit, he produces from his soil, from his life, from this vine branch relationship, produces through us a healthier, sweeter, more nutritious kind of life within the fruit that only Christ can produce. The fruit does not speak of you, my friend. It speaks of him. The question is not, does the fruit look like we are saved, but what is God doing in me in this moment? The vine branch relationship. Christ is the vine. The fruit belongs to the vine, and it's produced through me. I bear the fruit. You are a fruit bearer, and the fruit that you bear speaks of Christ in you. The vine branch relationship does not point to our adequacy. Look what a nice vine that is. You know, when you go and look at a vine in a vineyard, a grapevine, there's the vine, it goes into the ground and it's part of a network in the soil and all the vines are connected. The whole vineyard is part of the vine, including you, the branch. You want to know what the branch is? You ever gone to the store and you pick up a bunch of grapes? There's a branch that's dead because it's cut off from the vine and it has grapes on it. And when you go to eat a grape, you're holding on to the little twig and you pull off the grape, and you never, ever in the history of pulling off grapes off the stem, you never go pluck it off and go, oh, that was a great stem. You should taste how great the grape is that stem produced. Oh, that's the best stem ever. I wish I could have more grapes from that stem. You've never done that in your whole life. You've never wished that you had more twigs just like that one. No, we taste the fruit and we go, oh, that vineyard, that producer was amazing. And we take the twig and we go, doink, boink, go away. We don't even throw it away. We throw away the twig because the dead branch, apart from the fruit, the twig without the fruit or the vine is useless. It served its purpose. Be the twig. Be the twig in the vine producing fruit. Be the twig. Be the twig. Be the twig. Be the twig. The vine produces fruit that we, the branches, bear. Let's not try to be great twigs. Let's just enjoy what the vine produces through us. God's going to tend the soil. He's going to control the circumstances. When the storms come, I can't judge myself by the fruit from the storm, but I can Let the vine dresser take care of me, and my roots go deeper and deeper into the soil of the circumstances in which Christ alone produces life through me. So the circumstances and the other branches on the vine all affect the fruit that I have. And the vine dresser is going to prune and adjust and change and trim and feed. And the vine is going to produce. And the fruit is going to be something I get to bear that speaks of the vine. The vine dresser has tended the vine. The vine has produced the fruit. What am I doing? I'm going, look at the fruit. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this grape. Look at this apple. Look at this pear. There are no apple trees trying to produce coconuts. They're not striving. Producing apples. There's no striving fruit trees out there. If they're healthy, that means that they're successfully bearing the fruit from the root. If the root is healthy, the fruit will be healthy. If the root is healthy, the tree will be healthy. If the root isn't healthy, then no amount of blaming the trunk, no amount of blaming the branches is going to help the root. The root doesn't get healthy because of the branches. If you're living from Christ, he can produce fruit. We're not trying to be fruitful. And the fruit doesn't speak of us when he's fruitful through us. The vine-branch relationship does not point to our adequacy. Just be the twig. Instead, it points us as the branch to others as he gives away sweetness from the vine. Think about that. The purpose of the vine-branch relationship is not to make you okay. You're already okay. It's to give away that okayness for someone else to enjoy. The sweetness, the nutritional healthiness of what Christ produces through you. You're already okay. You're not judging yourself by the fruit. You're actually giving away the sweetness of Christ. You focus on Jesus, and Jesus loves other people through you. And the fruit that he produces speaks of him, not you. You're already okay. You don't need it to speak of you. Don't try harder. Just trust him. When you are feeling impatient, when you are feeling that the obstacles are too great, the problem isn't that you aren't overcoming them enough, or that you need to earn something from God by praying harder, praying more, doing better, doing more, accomplishing better, accomplishing more. You don't need to become a better Christian. Christ is your life. It's not something you do for him. It's something he does through you. Christ is your life. It is not something you do for him. It's what he does through you. You look to him, and you're not going to worry about the indignance of the driver that's cutting you off. You look to him, and you're not going to worry about what your competitive coworker is costing you. You don't have to be better than you or anybody else. You just live from the vine you're in. Live from the vine you're in. And when all of those fleshy emotions rise up within you, don't fix them. Don't use positive flesh to overcome negative flesh. Try harder. Think good thoughts. Stop all that. That's about you. You just look to Christ. And suddenly, you don't need more from everyone and everything around you. Now, that does not mean that looking to Christ, I do nothing in my circumstances. That means that he can suddenly do anything he wants through my circumstances. You don't have to fix you. You don't have to fix the circumstances. You don't have to fix other people. Instead, looking to Christ, you can do whatever he directs. It might cost you. It might benefit you. It might benefit you and somebody else. It might cost you something for someone else's benefit. You might gain something from somebody else. You just don't have to live for what you need from everyone around you. That doesn't mean you do nothing. Grace is not passive. Grace is available. And what God does through his unstoppable, victorious life is express his life through you in his fruitfulness. But anybody who's going, I'm just praying that God's going to fix my circumstances, and they're doing nothing, are probably not being attentive to what God is doing, because he keeps saying, move, get out of the ant pile you're sitting in. Move, move, move. God has empowered you to move. Being the twig is not being stagnant. It is being dynamic from the life of the vine. Love people, be available, make the change. Just don't do it out of your flesh, and don't do it thinking that what you do is earning something from God. The opposite of grace is not work. God has no problem with work. God has no problem with effort. Those are wonderful things. What grace opposes is merit. You're not earning. So if there's a door open, walk through it. If there's an opportunity, take it. But don't think that you have to make it work. Oh, I've got to take this job no matter what because I'm not going to survive if I don't. Where's your hope? But if he gives you a job opportunity, work. If he gives you a conversation opportunity, share. Just don't do it out of your own neediness. Don't do it out of your own sourcefulness. The question is not, how am I going to get my needs met? How can I cause what I want from my circumstances? Or how can I cause God to do what I want through my circumstances? It's how much do I trust God as he uses me in these circumstances? It doesn't point to our adequacy or our merit or our fruitfulness. Fruitfulness is not about us. Fruitfulness is about him, and it's about our availability for his work for other people. His fruit is his grace through me to somebody else. God's fruit is his gracious supply through me for someone else. No branches are eating their own fruit. They're available for the vine to produce fruit for someone else to eat. The fruit of God in your life is not a byproduct of you being a great Christian. I don't even know what that means. It's Christ being your life. And the more I and you live from him as our source, the less we need from everything around us. And the more what he does in us is useful to God for those around us. Do you see how that's fruitful? What God does is set up our circumstances that we can't judge in other people's lives. Tiny little nuggets of grapes don't mean unhealthy fruit. That means that in the circumstances, what the vine dresser, what the gardener, what God is doing is bringing about the unique expression of fruit. It might be less in quantity. It might be less in size. It might sometimes be bitter to the taste. Are you going to judge that fruit as not what the vine dresser is doing? You don't know how he's going to use that fruit. You don't know who needs that for what purposes. You have no idea. You don't know what that person is going through. That might look like overabounding love given where they are coming from. We don't know what God is doing in other people's soul. We know that if they're a believer, that he has indwelt them by the Spirit. Now, when you can see someone else's spirit, you let me know, because all I can do is see their fruit. And if I judge their fruit from anything but what God is doing in their heart, God is working through my impatience as much as he's giving away my patience. He's working through my hesitance to love others as much as he is loving others. He is working on his revelation to me about he and I as much as he's giving revelation away to somebody else. The only thing he's working on with me is me. But what he does in that process, he gives himself away to other people. I can afford to share what only Christ can do in and through me. It doesn't speak of me. I love that God has been so gracious. He's changed lives through this ministry, but it's almost like he's letting you guys participate financially in something that he's going to do through this circumstance to give truth away to other people. I'm almost completely inconsequential in the process. He's drawing a group of people together to partner together for something that he wants to do. And I kind of sit up and show up in a chair and share what he's revealing to me, what God is showing me. I'm going, look at this. And because y'all will partner, which is much harder than talking, and because he's sufficient, if I look to him and you partner with the ministry, lives are changed. Do you see how crazy that is? That's not. So when people go, oh, Mike, that newsletter that you sent out last week, that changed my life. Or someone in this broadcast a little bit ago went, that's a totally different perspective. That's amazing. I just go, I know. Grace upon grace, right? He's gracious to give it to me and he's gracious to use it for you. And you and I get to just stand in awe at the fruit that he produces through this work he does with us together. Us, the vineyard. All the little twigs on the vine. Woohoo! Go vine! It's amazing to me, the blend of grapes and fruitfulness of all of us in the vine from different circumstances, different time periods, different unique qualities, different contributions from the vine dresser in our life so that he can bring the bittersweetness of my life and the unique complexities of your life and bring them together to produce something that is not for us because we're already okay. He's giving himself away and we become the expression, the portal, the divine conduit, uniquely expressing the life of the vine together for something he alone can do. It's just not about us. We're already okay. It doesn't speak of us. It speaks of him. Grace upon grace upon grace upon grace to the praise of the glory of his grace to us and through us over and over and over and over and over. Friends, my prayer for you as we close today is that you would just enjoy God's enjoyment of you. He is already happy with you. He is already pleased with you in Christ. Only by the grace of God can you and I enjoy the pleasure and favor and excitement of God toward us that Christ alone could merit. You're not trying to earn or cause or produce anything. You're just enjoying the enjoyment of God that only Christ can and does merit. He just happens to do it from within you. He's done all the meriting. He's produced all the fruit. He is the root and the vine and the producer. And you get to be the twig. Be the twig. Be the twig. Just be the twig. Be Mary at the feet of Jesus. What Jesus wants to do, Mary's going to participate in. Don't be Martha running around trying to produce a lot of stuff for Jesus. Look at all that I'm doing for you. You know what? You can do that if you want to, but I'm not going to take the abiding, intimate presence of Mary away from her. She's chosen what's better. She's chosen me over the activity. And if I want to do something, Mary and I will do it together. That doesn't mean we only sit and soak. That means that when he moves, we move. When he stops, we stop. When he produces, we bear the very fruit that speaks of his grace. You're not trying to be better. Stop trying to be better. Stop trying to cause or fix anything. When things don't look okay, you better be looking to the vine because he can produce life from his root, from his life, from his source with the Father. Unlike the world cannot cost you what only the vine can produce in and through you. My hope is not in the weather. My hope is in the root of Christ's life already in me. And when that happens, the fruit that he produces is not going to be for me because I'm already okay. I'm going to enjoy his love for you. I'm going to enjoy his peace in being okay with other people. I'm going to enjoy his joy through me with others. I'm going to enjoy his kindness towards you by what he gives away through me. I'm going to enjoy his goodness and faithfulness and self-control for what only he can produce that I get to bear to the praise of his glorious grace. Man, I'm going to enjoy God, enjoying what only he can do in and through me today. Enjoy him enjoying you. And in that process, be the twig, being the twig, I get to know him more in the process. That's participating in divine life. Listen, if you're in tough circumstances, pray about it and change them. But he's the source, not the circumstances. So if he changes them, if he doesn't, that's fine. But don't just sit and wait for him to change circumstances. Be available. Do what's available to you. Do what you can and trust God that he's the one that provides what you can do and what results from it. You don't have to be the source, but that doesn't mean you don't participate. Move, change, go, make things different by your dependence upon him, but trust him with the results and trust him with the opportunity. He's the cause of he's the source of it, and he's the one that causes the result of it. You're just participating. Don't think sitting and soaking in, don't sit on the couch eating bonbons waiting for the check to come in the mail. That's not how God works. He opens doors for us to walk through, and then he gets the glory for his grace to include you in what only he can do through you. But it's not nothing. Paul prayed a lot, and then he got wrecked on Malta, and he wrote books from prison, and he, shared with people who stoned him, and Paul did a lot out of his dependence upon Christ. I know, I'm silly. I'm just going, I love your humor. I'm a nutball. I get it. Listen, know Christ more. You're the twig, he's the vine. Make today about knowing him as you participate with what he's doing in your life and through you in your life. Know him more. Grow in grace as you depend upon him and learn to not live from the circumstances. And as you know him more and you grow in grace, what he's going to do, he's going to produce fruit through you that's not just for you. Go love others like crazy. And they'll go, wow, God loves me. Not, Mike's a great whatever. I don't need to be a great anything. I want them to know a great God. I want you to know you're a great Father, the vine dresser, through the great vine who produces great fruit, through you whom he's made a great branch. Know him more, grow in grace, go love each other like crazy, and Lord willing, we'll be back tomorrow to mess up the microphone again and see if we can't point each other to the sufficiency in life and empowerment of a God who loves you and is for you and is in you and has completed you. And you get to rest and work and enjoy what only Christ can do in and through you as we do it together. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Thanks.